maybe in the tech world, where you have this common language of code, this language barrier gets broken down, and people kind of understand, oh yeah, this is a...
Definitely did for me. I mean, for me, that's how I got really good at English, because I met all these people as a teenager that were living all over Europe and the US. So I made friends from Italy, friends from Spain, friends from Switzerland, from the UK, the US, and the common language was English, right? And so my English wasn't that good back then, but I was able to learn, right? And like that community that I was in, that was like an open source project in the JavaScript space, and JavaScript is what's basically used for all the websites in the world nowadays. And that community accepted me, and I made friends, and I still talk regularly to some of those people, right? If we think about Japan, the interesting thing that I've observed, so yes, in a way, it does break down barriers. I think it also helps a lot of engineers in Japan get a bit of exposure to English, right? And like that's a good way to kind of be more integrated in this global community of open source software. But the thing that frustrates me a little bit that I don't know how to solve, and I don't think anyone is really thinking about this on how to solve it, but I wish it could be solved, is what I experienced in Tokyo is that there are two tech communities. There's this international tech community of like folks that are primarily not from Japan, or they're like folks that are from Japan but lived abroad for a while, and so they speak really good English. And then there's also this very Japanese tech community, and then they'll have events that are all like only in Japanese. And it's my impression that those two communities are like completely separate and they're not getting together. There's very few events where like these two communities meet, and I think Japan is worse off because of that. I think it would be much better if there was a way to bring those two communities together, and I think that would improve like the tech community or tech companies in Japan.
Is this a language that's keeping those communities separated, or is this maybe because of different cultural backgrounds or perspectives on coding that there's a different interest in, like, this kind of foreign-based community is interested into coding things one way, and the maybe more Japan-based community is having a different approach and different philosophy of coding?
I don't know yet. That's the thing. Like I tried to figure that out. I went to a conference about 4 months ago, and they had like a few different tracks. So they had like the main track, and then a side track, and then like yet another track. And so that third track was Japanese only. And the first one was like all the talks were in English, and it was kind of like the international track. And I just noticed that like almost everyone went to that Japanese track. So I think it was this conference that was primarily for folks that speak Japanese. And then all these folks maybe didn't understand English well enough, so that the main track was completely deserted. Like it was empty. There were 100 chairs or 150 chairs, and there was only like 10 people in the room.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was like, okay, this is awkward, right? And everybody went to that like really tiny room, cramped. They didn't even have like a projector. They just had like a tiny little screen on a table in the front, and everybody had to squint. And I just cannot make sense of it yet. I wish I could answer your question, because that might help solve that problem, but I wish I knew. And so I'm not entirely sure. It might be all of those